Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, and Be Merry show, where we love to talk about food, drink, recipes, and techniques, and where to shop, taste, and play. Let's go. So welcome. We're going to eat, drink, and be merry in Africa. And when we talk about the food and drink of Africa, it really goes into, just like around the world, the different cultures, the different people, the localities, what is growing there. And we have three experts joining us today, travel writers, all of them, food, wine, travel writers. And we have some more clips coming on after this segment, so stay tuned for that. But first, I'm going to bring Jeffrey Spear on the show because Jeff, he suggested this idea. And of course, with Nancy and I having lived in Kenya and South Africa for majority of my childhood, I was like, oh, yes, please. But I know the danger of this show is I'm going to get super hungry. And I'm going to get really homesick, and I'm going to try and cook something that I'll probably blow a kitchen up in. So, Jeff, thanks so much for doing that. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. This will be fun.
So I want people to know also that you are an author, and I also go to your website, so everyone should know that, is everyone can go to spearwrites.com. And his book is My Life in Gluttony, a Culinary Adventure. And for some reason, this book is traveling with us everywhere we go. I just keep checking to see if Jeff has been where we're going. But Jeff, Africa is a place that you've traveled to, right?
It is. I've had a number of engagements over there supporting the food industry, various food industries in Africa. And so I've been in Malawi and a lot of countries in West Africa, places that are not the places where you've been.
Well, this is cool. This is the whole point, that we talk about different places. And you have a recipe that everyone link in the episode notes. Check it out. He has a recipe that is featured in his book, and which is, again, My Life in Gluttony. And everyone's links are in the episode notes, so you know it's easy to just click through. This is called char grilled mouse. First I thought it was moose, and I'm like, how do you char grill a moose? No, just kidding. But from your recipe, I don't see any mice in this, Jeff.
No, because the mice, this is in Malawi where I discovered, and it's a story too long for today, but I discovered these char grilled mice on sticks, and I wanted to find a recipe, and the closest recipe I could find was in Thailand, and they had mice that lived in coconut palms. And so the mice were actually quite edible because they were eating clean food up at the top of the tree. The mice that they cook in Malawi, I don't know how they harvest them. I don't want to find out. I certainly don't want to put them in my mouth because I have no idea what the hygiene is. But I was so impressed by it that I said I have to come up with a recipe that can double for char grilled mouse.
And of course, you use chicken.
Yeah, chicken tenders.
Okay, now wait a minute. Are you buying the chicken tenders from another place, or like you're getting because chicken tenders, people think immediately fast food, or you know.
You can get them in the store, but I don't even when I make it, I don't even use the tenders. I just take a breast and slice it up into strips, and it works fine.
Okay, cool. Could you use rotisserie chicken?
It's already cooked.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you have to
I'm lazy. Sorry. Oh, and then they're ruining the marinade because they do their own thing in there. So it to me, this looks like a wonderful recipe. It's got soy sauce, Asian sesame oil, rice wine vinegar. Oh, I love rice wine vinegar, and chili garlic sauce. Very important. Some lime. So this sounds really good. Really, really good. Cool. And also because of the Asian influence, there's a lot of Asian influence in food in Africa throughout, so this makes sense.
I was impressed by the degree of influence that Indian cuisine had.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I'm craving all the time and missing a lot of is the Indian food. And England has done a really good job. I know America's getting better. And there's definitely places, the best samosas I ever had was, and everyone says I'm different, in a tiny town called Dinuba in Central California, which is in Tulare County. It's near Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks, and it was in a pizza place. Go figure. Wow. So go to Manhattan Pizza in Dinuba, and you'll get some of the best samosas ever, and the best ones I've found since living in South Africa. But let's bring our next guest on. I talked about South Africa, and our next guest is Elsa. Now, Elsa's got two names because she can do what she wants. Elsa van der Bijl is her author name, and she's written a number of books. And there's Elsa Dixon, the travel writer name, and she's also a piano teacher and just an awesome lady all around. So welcome back, Elsa. It's been a while. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you. It's very nice to be on your program and hear your voice again.
You too, by the time, by the time you show, I'm going to be a changed woman again. But I want to tell people you were born and raised in South Africa, and you've written now 3 books, right? You've got Hippos, Hotspots, and Homelands. That's where we first met you. And also you wrote about your dad, Piet Pompis, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's why I'm using my maiden name for my books, because he was known as Piet Pompis. That is still a household name in South Africa. He was a famous scriptwriter, radio broadcaster, and I still get royalties on some of his songs.
Great.
So, and his regular name was Pieter van der Bijl. So I thought I better use the van der Bijl, and that's how it stuck then, you know. So Hippos was about my last 20 years in South Africa, and my new book, Immigration from the Low Veld to the Low Country, is about the immigration process that I underwent, you know, when I came to America, until I finally became a dual citizen.
Yeah, so that's a process, especially these days. But going through that process, and you say the low felt, like the felt, like we know, like Jan Jan Jan, the Billy van die Bosveld. See, this is happening.
Felt.
The Bosveld. So that's really like the bush, like you're going out in the bush.
Yes, so that came from the, you know, I lived in that area, Kruger National Park, Sorbisand, and that was my home base before I came here. So the low veld to the low country.
With you, I know you're married to a park warden, a park ranger, and you know when you're out camping in you know in the parks, there's a lot of we braai a lot, which is a barbecue in this country, and the boerewors is like probably the most popular thing, right?
Yeah, boerewors, yeah, that is very, very nice because it's got that thick consistency. But we also like barbecuing lamb chops, you know, and steak and chicken and kebabs, sausages, and making cheese and tomato sandwiches on the grill. So our barbecue is a long process. It's a social event.
It's like the whole neighborhood comes.
And it lasts for quite a few hours.
Yes, it does. Well, sausages, tell everybody what that is.
Well, sausage is like a kebab. You know, we marinate our lamb in cubes or beef cubes, and that's very popular. Now, the black people, they call them grilling of meat, which is like our barbecue. They call it nyama choma, which is the grilling of the meat, you know. So that quite a few restaurants have that connotation. And you have the same vocabulary in Tanzania and also in Namibia. There's a great correlation between the foods served in Namibia, although Namibia has that German influence as well, German colonial influence, but Tanzania food and South African, and I even would go so far as to say Kenya probably as well. Yeah. There's a lot of the similar. Now we serve porridge with our barbecue also. It could be a stiff porridge that you roll in a ball and you dip it into the meat sauces, and that I know the black people do as well. Definitely.
Putu.
Yeah, putu pap. That's right.
Vors, that's what we said.
There you go. yeah, that's right. The tomato and onion juice. Tomato and onion sauce. I've just forgotten what it's called now.
Well, we called it train smash. Yeah, there's man, I forgot the real word too. But this is really fascinating because when you talk about going to a restaurant and ordering the grilled meat. Now, when we left South Africa, it was in the mid-90s, and I don't remember that many Black-owned restaurants at that time because we were still going through a change. So nowadays, because I know you've been there as a tour guide and also family and home, has that changed a lot?
Yes. There are certainly a lot of, multicultural restaurants throughout South Africa now, but not only South African influences, but they also now incorporate dishes from other countries in Africa. So then the other type of porridge, if you remember, they make it very stiff and you stir it with a fork until it sort of crumbles. And we call it krummelpap, crumble porridge. And
I don't remember that. In Kenya, it was called ugali. And in Kenya, you would get white or yellow. And I don't know if this is when we brought food dyes to Africa.
No, you get a yellow corn. And
the other one was maize.
Really delicious. I had a porridge on a farm once, and that was the most delicious breakfast porridge I've ever had. And they grew the yellow corn on the farm, you know.
I want to bring our next guest on too. And everyone, you can keep up with Elsa at Travels with Elsa.com. Our next guest is Judy Carnia, who is a travel writer as well, a nature therapist. She takes people out into the woods, into the Bosveld, and gets them to connect with nature, to calm their bodies and just reunite with the motherland. Really, it's a wonderful thing that she does, forest bathing. And you can go to her website, which is travelingnature.com. And she also pet sits as she travels like Nancy and I do. So we often talk cats because she's a retired feline veterinarian. So welcome back, Judy. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing well.
Well, I heard that I know, because when you went to South Africa and you went all over that area, I was like, I am watching every day. Come on, Judy, start posting.
Amazing.
But
yeah.
You did some veterinarian, like volunteer work, right? But also got to have some, off time, fun time. But I think what you were doing was pretty epic.
Yeah, it was a veterinary program. And it was 2 other veterinarians and me, and we had a local guide who was really connected to the conservation membership there, the conservation groups and veterinarians, wildlife. So we hung out with wildlife vets. We went to some different reserves. So a lot of hands-on with the animals, which was just amazing. And then our guide, he knew the area so well, took us so many I am not a foodie, I'll admit, but he took us to so many great local places. He knew where to go and, was a great resource, just looking at the menu when we were like, what's this? What's this? What's that? And he could explain everything to us. So, and just had so much good food there. And it was just, the people were incredible. It was just a wonderful 2 weeks there. My first time ever in Africa.
I'm so glad you got there and the work you were doing. Thank you for doing it. It's awesome. And do you have any memorable points did you try any of this pop and vorse or anything that, was talking about, or did you eat any mice?
Didn't have any mice. I definitely had samp and pop.
My gosh, Sam. Gosh.
Yeah, Samp. That was wonderful. My favorite meal was actually nachos with kudu meat in it. So the most tender, delicious meat with corn nachos and avocado and cheese and
Okay, so in South Africa, I remember the Spur restaurant when it opened was doing American food, and that's how we got introduced into nachos, and I think it spread. Elsa, did you go to the Spur ever?
Yes. Oh, the Spur is a very popular family restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they've got terrific deals.
You did?
Yeah, my guide told them that it was my birthday. And so they brought me ice cream and everybody was singing,
dancing around you.
Yes, exactly. It was quite fun. It's it's not my birthday, but okay.
Yeah, no, anytime listen, I will say that Africa and Louisiana share 2 things. If there's any reason to party, you will do it. That's the truth. Jeff, I wanted to go back to you because of the mice, and I want to see because the reality is about what you eat, what is around you. And, that's why I say it does change. And I don't know if Elsa did this, but Nancy, she did this. I did this. There's such a thing as eating mopani worms. Elsa, did you do that?
Yes, I did. I did do that. I was the only brave one in our group that actually chewed a mopani worm. It's not my favorite thing, but it wasn't bad.
Did you eat flying ants too as a kid? We did that, and it tastes like peanut butter. Did you do that?
No, we did not have that in the Western Cape. I can't remember seeing.
See, I was in Natal. It's not Natal anymore, is it?
Yeah.
It's not. But KwaZulu Natal. Yeah, when we were there, whenever it rained, so the flying ants would come out in the rain, and then you run, you catch them, and you fry them, and you eat them. Jeff, is that? Every time Jeff's on a show, I just want to gross him out. I just want to know if that's okay with you. And we could put him on a burger. That could be the peanut butter for the burger, Jeff.
When I was working in Malawi, and I went out to Lake Malawi, and one of the delicacies that they served out there were the flying ants, and there were pictures of them, and I'm like, nah, not going to happen.
Well, I want to ask, can I ask Jeff whether he ever had chicken feet in West Africa?
Eat chicken feet in any culture. I have friends that when we go out for dim sum, they love the Chinese chicken feet. No, thank you.
That's also a black delicacy. Or actually, it's regular food for them. It's not a delicacy. It's regular food.
Some people eat some really strange things, and just because they put it in their mouths does not mean I have to.
Well,
You're right about that.
well, I know chicken feet, even in Kenya, it was a big deal. And South Africa was also part of, like, it's a
Yep.
medicinal thing. And the shamans would, the witch doctors, not necessarily shaman, the witch doctors, you had the sangomas and the tokoloshi. The tokoloshi was the devil, like, right? And the sangoma was the good one, right? Elsa, am I getting this right as I recall from childhood?
Tokoloshi, the black people raise their beds on bricks so that
Yes.
the tokoloshi cannot climb onto the bed,
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why huts are round, because then the spirits can't hide in the cracks. So nobody wants to have any cracks. Sorry, the corners, I should say. But the chicken feet were like a way of, like, if you have an upset stomach, chicken feet were the thing to eat. But this is interesting too, because it goes also the Asian culture, right? So here's this merging of cultures, and Africa for sure has that.
There are a lot of cultures that eat everything on the animal.
Yeah.
There's a popular expression that came over with the African slaves that they would eat when it came to dealing with eating pigs, that they ate everything from the rooter to the tutor.
We're talking cracks again. It's a really good show. She's sitting here listening as we record, and she just keeps shaking her head. Jeff, I wanted to talk with you about the work that you do in the States here, especially in the South, with the writing and all this research work that you do. You're like the history of food person and mixology. But I know that you've really tapped into a lot of the African foods that are here now. And I know Elsa, being in Charleston area, also understands that. But have you seen the Gullah culture? So what have you experienced on this side outside of the mother continent? It is the mothership.
The thing about African food is, from my experience, it has been one of the most frequently talked about emerging cuisines ever, and it's never emerged. It's getting some play in the South because Southern food owes its culinary ways to African traditions. And so slowly, African foods and African ingredients are getting known. In the last few years, Rissa has made an entrance. Za'atar has come around. Rasa Hanut, Dukkha, and Grains of Paradise. There are a bunch and even these, a lot of people don't know what they're about. So unless you're in a city that has a high concentration of either Black or African diaspora, and then there are restaurants to cater to them, you're not going to have any experience. I don't have much experience with African foods because I don't live in a place that's got the diaspora. And I don't know, you can go to some of these restaurants, but you don't know if you're getting good or bad or indifferent. And that's part of the problem too.
Well, the thing is, if you like it, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But I want to tell people that you also gave us a list of links where people can purchase ingredients.
There are a number of companies that are making reasonably good African stuff, African spices, African hot sauces, heat and serve stuff. And that's on the list. The spice company, Burlap and Barrel, they have a lot of Afrocentric spices, but as a spice source in general, their spices are phenomenal. So if you you want really good spices, it doesn't matter what you buy. You open up the jar and you will know that this is not anything like what you bought in the grocery store because of their sourcing philosophy, and it's just incredible stuff.
Well, I think it's because it is like this amalgamation of cultures that come together just throughout the continent, and there's just certain things, like it's like when you taste a really good mole, and that's how I feel about African food. Like, I can't find it, and like a samosa, I can't explain how I don't know. Judy, have you had any good samosas anywhere in this country? And Elsa, either one of you, any good samosas or samosas, however everyone wants to say?
Samosas, yeah. No, I haven't really found, there's not the comparison.
I know, because it's the wrong flour. And when you're talking about grains, Jeff, it comes down to that. The flour that they're using, it's thick, almost like they're almost going pastry-like. Judy, have you had any good samosas either when you were in Africa, in South Africa, or when you came back, or living here?
I think we had it at one place, but I don't think I've ever had them here.
They are.
South African samosas are really good, especially when you go to the East Coast where the Indians settled,
Yeah, like Durban.
Yeah. But I just want to say that the Gala food here was totally strange to me coming from South Africa because mostly the influences came from West Africa with the slaves, you know. So I'd never tasted okra before. And red rice was not a thing we did. Easy peasy, field peas. I mean, those things were all new to me. So I had a lot to assimilate and get to terms with here in America.
One of the important things for people to understand about African food is using the term African food is completely inappropriate because
it's like saying North American food. Good luck with that.
There are 54 different countries in continental Africa, and they each have their own foodways. Many of them are influenced. They were conquered or colonized at some point in time by a European force, and so those European foodways filtered in. And so you get some of those influences. The only one that's truly its own is Ethiopian food, and that's because Ethiopia was never colonized. But all the other countries have different influences. And then certain countries are grouped together. So like West Africa, what we're seeing here in America, it's really influences from Senegal, Nigeria, and Ghana. They're West African countries. We're seeing Ethiopian restaurants, so Ethiopia, and then South Africa. There's also some coming in from Morocco. But these 4 different, if you will, general destinations are completely different when it comes to foodways.
And of course, South Africa is greatly influenced by the British culinary thing. But in America, here in our, you can find very good South African outlets, that make boerewors and biltong and dried sausage, and meat pies and things like that. So you can get it here.
Yeah, and the British influence is huge, right? So when you go on a South African online store, you're going to see a lot of British influence.
Yes.
Like I remember syrup, was it Lion's Gold or something, Lion's syrup? And that was really from England. And like Nora was there, but like fruit chutney and things like that. That's all the British side, which I really miss a good fruit chutney.
No, the chutney I think is more Cape Malay influence, Mrs. Ball's chutney, remember her?
That's it. Yes.
Yeah, we had some of that.
Did you like it? Did you like it?
Yeah, I've started adding it to like everything. Whenever we had it.
Is the samp to you, like you had samp and beans, to me was like a meal. Like it's really full of protein and just it is again when you think about what grows in a place and what is economical too. Like the putu ugali in Kenya, the putu you do different ways. In Kenya, really everything I used to eat I lived in bush with different tribes. And as a kid, you would roll it up like what Elsa was saying, like just in South Africa, where you roll it up in a bowl, put it in. There were greens. And I don't think they were collard greens. I don't know what greens I was eating, but it's like they have a significant taste. But the samp and beans, I think, was also in Kenya as a kid, as I recall. South Africa for sure. But is that the same as succotash, Judy? Do you think it's the same as succotash? Because I've not had succotash here.
No, I haven't either. I don't know what that.
Oh, Elsa, have you had succotash?
I'm sure that they served it at our place here the other night, and I had no idea what that was, and I don't remember in any case.
It's corn, lima beans, and green beans, and probably some, bacon or pork or something in there to give it flavor.
But hemp and beans, I did not know living in the Western Cape. You find that in the Eastern Cape, and in the different tribes, some eat only rice, and other will eat only the samp and beans. That's what they want, and the other will eat porridge, with there. So it's a distribution.
Well, I was mostly in Port Elizabeth, so we were mostly the Eastern Cape. And
yes, that's where you get it, samp and beans.
It's because we had penguins there.
And beans, it was just samp.
You can have it like that as well.
So, Judy, did you have any dishes? You talked about the kudu, and I know that's the venison of South Africa, and the kudu is just such a majestic giant antelope. I mean, it's huge. Aren't they beautiful?
Gorgeous.
They're just gorgeous. Did you have any other experiences in food that you're like, okay, I haven't had this, I'll try it. Like, let's see what it is.
Yeah, also tried warthog and impala, which were really good as well. Yeah, and it's I guess it's how it's made. I mean, where we were at was in Kruger National Park, and this restaurant, I mean, they just did such a great job with cooking these. They were all so tender and tasty, and we did a braai as well. As we stayed at a conservationist home and had a braai right out on the patio. Built a fire and cooked it right there. And in the morning, the vervet monkeys came down and were trying to get in the house and
Of course.
steal all our food. Yeah.
Them.
So yeah, pretty bold. Looking for their food.
They stole my sandwich out of a car once. Yeah, it was fun.
Well, we were staying at a place right outside Kruger, called Maholahola Forest Camp. Maholahola is a private reserve, and we stayed at their forest camp, and they just have this dining room, open air dining room, covered, but open to the surrounding. We were sitting there eating breakfast. They just had a breakfast buffet every morning. I mean, just the best food at this place, and it was just a peaceful, amazing. The deer came right up to our doors and everything. So we're sitting there having breakfast, and two monkeys come in and run right up to the table, grab some fruit, and we had to chase them off. So
I remember being somewhere in South Africa, I think it was. Yeah, it was in South Africa. I think it was near the Drakensberg Mountains. And Nancy and I were somewhere, because we toured the whole country for 2.5 years full time. And we were at some lodge, and we were sitting, mapping the route out or something. And there was this really obnoxious guy sitting near us. And we were sitting under an arbor with, the flowers and everything, vine growing all over it, like a passion fruit vine or something. And this guy was just so obnoxious. And we kept looking at him like, just shut up, kind of person. And there were vervet monkeys everywhere. And the vervet monkey went right over him and peed on his head from the arbor. I will never forget that, because we were just like, yeah, nature is on our side, man. Check that out. Because I think he was just so loud and so horrible. And we're all just sitting there going, this is like a peaceful, beautiful spot, and there's, the high tea going on too, with the little finger up and everything, And then here comes the monkey. I'll piss on you. Elsa, did you ever go to the Cape Point where you go on Table Mountain, where the baboons get you when you try to go to the little snack shop?
Very dangerous, those baboons. Yeah. And they're very clever too.
Oh, man. And speaking of the Cape, now, Judy, did you have South African wine? This is a very important question.
Yeah. I did find a new favorite wine, the Pinotage.
Yes.
The red wine. Yeah, we had quite a bit of it. Wine is very inexpensive when you're
yes.
We usually, between the three of us, split a bottle of wine every night. The Pinotage was, I've probably had it before, but this is the first time I had it, multiple times. And yeah, definitely look for it now.
It's an unusual wine. Yeah. It's
very good.
Well, that's the thing you can get in stores. Even Aldi's, once in a while, you'll find South African wine, and the world markets, if they're still around. But South African wine, if it's up there with, I would say, New Zealand and Australian wines, if not sometimes better, just saying. But I don't, Jeff.
Go on.
I was going to ask Jeff if he's had South African wine.
Not that I'm aware of.
Jeff.
Oh, he's missing something.
Well, I'm listening to you guys talk, and I'm missing a lot.
Yeah, you're missing monkeys peeing on your head.
It's the wine, and you're
not
so bad.
No.
But the South African wine industry goes back to the 17th century. Napoleon Bonaparte used to order his brandy from Constantia. Yes, it's a very old established culture, yeah. But did you also have Marula cream?
Yes, Judy, did you have it?
Marula?
Amarula. It's like a Bailey's.
I love that too. Yeah.
Now, I know we have a segment coming on after this about Amarula, but I want to ask Elsa now, and both of you, have you had Nachtmusik? And I don't know if it's still there.
Oh, yes, I have had that, yes.
It's like a chocolate liqueur.
And you can get it at the airports also, in chocolate. They make Marula chocolate filling, now. So, you get a lot of Amarula. It's very popular. And you get it freely. It's freely available here in America. I've got it in the local wine shop. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You can get it at liquor stores. Jeff, I'm just saying, I know
Okay.
you love to make cocktails. Amarula is your next Bailey's.
Yeah, that's what the elephants love to eat, the amarulas from the marula tree.
Are you
Yeah.
calling me an elephant?
Well, the label is an elephant.
Yes, that's right, because
I'll-
that's it.
And it's called Amarula.
Yes, you have
Amarula.
to try it. You would love it.
I will look for it.
And Nacht music, but I've never seen Nacht music in this country.
Yeah, I can't remember seeing that either.
I used to make a cocktail called the Barman's Belch, and anyway, it's a whole other story, and we won't go there because I won an ouzo drinking contest in Cape Town. Anyway, I did, and then was very sick after that. But anyway, it's ouzo. Or no, it wasn't ouzo. It was sambuca. You put sambuca, and you've got the white and the dark sambuca, just kind of like ouzo. And so you put ouzo, amarula, and Nacht music together. Shake it on ice, and you'll think it's very sweet, lovely. It's perfect for the holidays. But if you go for a second or third, you may start to feel something. I'm just saying. You don't know it until you drink it, and it's called a belch for a reason. I'm just saying. It sneaks up on you. But I think, Jeff, in South Africa, brandy. Old man? What's that?
KWV, that's the export brandy. You're thinking of Old Brown Sherry, aren't you?
Yes, Old Brown Sherry.
A student's drink.
Yeah, that's like the Boone's Farm of sherry. Oh my gosh. Okay. So anyway, so don't do that one, Jeff.
I got that.
Don't do Old Brown. No. But sherry was a big deal too, and that's the colonial side.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So when you think of it. So, Jeff, did you try any cocktails, liquors? Gin and tonic, of course, is like a very much colonial drink across, and rum and coke, and Spook and Diesel. Remember that? Cane and Coke? I'm not supposed to say that, am I?
Yeah, luckily I understand it only, I think.
I think I'll delete this part. Anyway, well, I was a kid. I didn't know anything. But did you try anything in Malawi, like on the liquor side?
No, my focus was really on a lot of the various foods that were being produced, a lot of the grains, fonio, processed grains, the couscous, some of the fruits, some of the vegetables. But when it came time for alcohol, it really didn't enter into any of the engagements that I was involved with. And when we would meet at the end of the day, everybody was just drinking local beer. And when I travel, I drink scotch. And so, I'm staying in Western hotels, and so I'm just having, Scotch, Johnny Walker Black on the rocks. That's not terribly African.
No, but Johnny Walker does get around there. He does. He walks the world.
Interesting beer I had was in Tanzania, a banana beer. They have these overripe bananas that they mash, and they then add a thick porridge, made from sprouted finger millet or something, millet. And then they sometimes add quinine bark, and that's in a huge pot, and they stand and stir it with a big stick the whole day. Yeah, but you have to acquire a taste for the banana beer as well, but it's not too bad.
We made pineapple beer when I was in boarding school in the rafters.
Oh, that's delicious.
Pineapple, yeah, because we were in Gramstad.
Yeah.
That's where I went to boarding school for 1 year because I was not good in boarding school. That was not a thing. I was in permanent detention. It was so cool. Your detention was you had to get up and be there at 5 a.m, and I don't care. So what? But we did have all the pineapple farms, and South Africa has. Everyone thinks of pineapples, maybe Asia and Hawaii, but this area, Port Alfred, and that region, they even have a giant pineapple that you can go into, like a roadside attraction kind of thing. But so most of the people in the boarding school were farm kids, because going to school, if you live on a farm, which was mostly farm country around there, it was like really not easy. It's not an easy time to get to school, and this was kind of a better education. So yeah, that's what we all got up to for some reason. Pineapple.
My brother has a farm there on near Port Alfred, and they have a farm stall, and they press fresh pineapple juice, and so popular because they freeze it, and then it's ice cold, on those hot days when you come past there.
Wow. Now, Judy, I wanted to ask you about this on the produce end, having you just coming back. from there because I think that South Africa has some of the best produce in the world, like fruits, and we ship. I mean, well, I'm not there anymore, but yeah, they ship out pretty much most of it and they export it. And so I think when we were there, we were getting like the second, third grade of the fruits and vegetables. What was your thought on that?
Yeah, it was difficult because I don't typically eat a lot of meat. I eat some, but not like every meal. And I also try to eat gluten-free. So, I try to eat a lot of produce. And it was actually, like there'd be one vegetarian dish on the menu, or I'd have to specifically like for an actual like meal-sized salad rather than just a side salad. And it kind of surprised me, but I mean, it was all good when I had it. Actually, one meal we stopped at, I was the only one who really liked our lunch, and it was like roasted potatoes and vegetables with mozzarella on it, and it was wonderful. And everybody else had like a burger or a sausage or whatever, and they're like, yeah, it's okay. And I'm like, mine is wonderful. I had a wonderful salad at one of the Kruger, camps, restaurants. So, it was really good. It just didn't seem like it was popular, I guess, but it was all very good when I had it. So
it's a meat-eating country.
Very, meat and pop or samp and sausages, things like that. But if you look for it, I mean, it was good.
Did you try the fruit? The fruit is phenomenal.
Yeah, we'd actually had fruit like at breakfasts and fruit juices. Yeah, very good.
Ceres fruit juice. I remember that.
It's interesting. You're talking about salads and fruit and all this stuff. And in the places where I was working, I'm working in regions that are considered some of the poorest regions in the world. And I was warned before I arrived not to eat fresh produce and not to drink the local water. And because there's bacteria and stuff in the water that as outsiders, we're not used to it, so we get sick. And so I avoided a lot of local foods for just that reason. And so I imagine it may be different now. It may not. I don't know. But whenever I go into countries that I'm not familiar with, I always, check out what are what's food safety like. Some of the countries I've worked in actually had projects that were food safety oriented. And, if it wasn't cooked, we just didn't eat it.
Yeah.
Well, there this reality.
Yeah, the only time I got sick, I mean, I ate a lot and it was great being with a guide who was from the area. He knew which restaurants to go to, and the reserves all had, wonderful food. The only time I got sick was from a lion. So.
A lion?
I was there while they were doing a spay on a lion and at a reserve, and I got a little sick from something I picked up from her. But otherwise, drank the water like a lot of the reserves.
And now Judy has a mane. Just kidding.
No. I mean, I was
right.
kind of sick for 3 days, but I can say I got E. coli from a lion.
But South Africa is really very safe. It's only in certain areas. You can drink all the water. What you have to avoid and what you avoid, is the road stalls when the black people sell all their produce. Now that you've got to be careful for. You've got to wash that very carefully, before you do that. But if you're in the cities and in the restaurants and so on, you have no problem with water. Eat anything.
Yeah.
I was in South Africa.
Our guide was saying that the roadside stands were mainly unsafe because you don't know how long the fruit was sitting there.
Not only that, but you don't know what they water it with.
Water, wherever you go, we always ask about the water, even in America, because like even in Michigan, we were in some place and I'm like, we're kind of near that little Flint place. I don't know if we want to drink the tap water. So it's everywhere around the world. And some tap waters are better than bottled waters, depending on where you travel. Yes. Mm-hmm. And South Africa had good water.
He's like, our water is better than you'd find anywhere. Drink it right out of the tap. And it was.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it's well water, too.
Right. They're getting it. Yeah. The spring water. Right.
Wow. So I love that we're all talking about Africa. And I could talk for hours with you guys, but I wanted to just go through, one meal. Okay. And I just want to say Oma Biscaykeys has to be on the list here of food for breakfast in the morning where you dunk your rusk in the coffee. But Elsa, marmalade is the one for Biscaykeys.
You like the marmalade flavor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's delicious. It's got the little sweetness in there. Yeah.
Yes.
Then you get the aniseed rusks, with aniseed.
Yeah.
You get that one. You
Oh,
get
no wonder I like licorice so much. It's
there's
from
a South African store here in Charleston, and they make traditional rusks, and they are delicious. So I can send you the name. They deliver all over, and it's really good.
The only thing is what's at the bottom of your cup. That gets weird to me to drink once even biscotti and stuff where you dunk it at the bottom. It's like it's bitsies down there. One thing too, cook sisters. Now, did you have a cook sister?
I don't think so.
My, you need to go back.
Yeah, I think that's more also in the lower parts of South Africa, because I never really found cook sisters in the, where I lived up north. But it's platted dough that you dip in.
Braided.
Yeah, you braid it and then you dip it in syrup and you fry it in hot oil. The nearest thing, what do they do here in America? Sort of a round, flat thing, and that's the nearest thing I got to the taste of a cook sister.
No, a cook sister is a whole. I mean, it's so full of sugar and syrup, and
so delicious.
It's the best thing ever. I mean, it is. Your teeth will curl from sweetness, but you can't help but be a sweet person after you eat it. Like the cook sister is a delicacy, and Lemingtons, my gosh. Lemingtons and cheese puffs. So grocery store food, they made good grocery store food, as I recall, because they made Lemingtons. And I can't remember if it was Pick and Pay or Checkers. I don't know.
And Malva pudding, you remember Malva pudding?
I do. No, not a huge fan of that. But the Lemmings are like chocolate sponge cakes, kind of soaked in chocolate sauce, but like a watery chocolate sauce, and then covered in coconut.
Like that in Australia, they call them lamingtons.
I think it's the same thing. I saw something somewhere about that. I went, oh my gosh, that's what it is. I must have it again. I'm serious. It is just, there's just these little things in life that make you really happy through the day. And one of those, I mean, when Nancy had her magazine there and things were going crazy, because in any publishing world, everything's nuts all the time. And I remember her art director go up, he goes, Lemingtons, and then it was followed by wine or sherry at the end of the day. But Lemingtons all around, and cheese puffs. They had these pastries that would look like a fritter, maybe, I don't know. But and the inside was like a cheese and onion, because South Africa did a lot of cheese and onion, which I don't see here in this country. It's like cheese and onion filling inside this kind of puffy pastry. Jeff, why did you do this to us?
Now, every time we do this, we really need to set up a food distribution so that we all have the same foods in front of us while we're talking.
Yes, then everyone can listen to us chew and crunch. Okay, I want to go around and say, so let's have a South African, a Malawian, an Ethiopian, whatever meal that you can come together with from Africa, or even from here, from the cuisine here, that you say is a taste of Africa that you enjoy. So I'm going to start with you, Jeff, since this was your idea, and now I want fruit chutney potato chips now too, crisps. I want ghost pops too.
The most memorable dish I had was in Senegal, and it's this fish and rice dish called chebujen. And I tried to develop a recipe for chebujen for my book, and I was doing all this research, and even to date, I found a book recently, and even that recipe, there's just nobody had it right. And then I learned recently that if you really want to have good chebujen, you have to go over someone's house. That it's one of those things, it's traditional food that's served at home. And that's why I wasn't finding it anywhere. But chebujen is fabulous. If you ever have it, if it's good, it's really good.
Wow. Okay. That's it. I've never had it. Okay, Judy, what about you?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, there's so many good things that I had, and I can't say anything that I would choose one. I mean, certainly the kudu was amazing. As long as I had a pinotage with it, I'm happy. And throw some samp on the side. I really liked that.
Huh. That's amazing. Did you have potjiekos while you were there? They cook it in a Dutch oven at the braai normally. Like it's in a big black cast iron pot, and they put everything in it. And and maybe some of the food you ate that you're saying was so tender is because it may have gone in the potjie.
Yeah, possibly.
Gosh, it's so good. Oh my. Okay, so you want your wine. Okay.
Yes.
Did you eat any sweets, any junk food? Come on, we want the junk food delivery too.
I'm trying to remember, because it was more the regular food. that stood out.
Yep.
Marmite? Biltong.
Marmite.
Marmite. I have Marmite here. I do. I love my Marmite. If I was going to say biltong for everyone is like jerky in this country, but biltong is just done in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And once you've had biltong, you can't go back.
Yeah, we had some on a sundowner.
You did?
Yeah, we did a sundowner at one of the reserves and had some of that.
It's different than jerky.
Yeah, very good. Very smoky. Yeah.
And tender compared. And the sundowner, tell people about that because that's like when you're in the bush having your cocktails at sunset, right?
Yeah, we did a little, game drive and went up to the top of the highest hill and had our wine and snacks and just watched the sun go down. That a couple times.
That's the best. That is the best out of it all. No matter what you're eating and drinking is enjoying that. It is. Elsa, what's your meal?
Oh, babuti.
Babuti, we forgot about that.
Yeah, that's also influence of, the Cape Malay people that came from Indonesia and those countries. And it's like a curried ground beef casserole, but you have the curry with the mostly turmeric flavor, not so much strong, it's mild curry. And then you top it with a thin layer of egg custard with the bay leaves in it. You roll the bay leaves. And oh my gosh, that is still one of my favorite meals. And you serve it with yellow rice and raisins. Very nice.
Yeah, the raisins give it that little sweet part. And don't they put cardamom in there or no?
No, not really. But
it's the bay leaf I'm thinking of, maybe.
Yeah, the bay leaf mainly. And then also the fruit chutney that you serve with it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going for a curry bunny now.
Yeah, Jeff was saying that he would like to try. Bunny chow.
Yeah, bunny chow, curry bunnies. Especially, I used to hang out in Jeffreys Bay. And it's surfer chow. It's after a good party chow. Yeah. Well, I was that age at that time. And at 2 a.m, so-and-so selling this. All right, we're going to eat it. And samosas, that was the other thing. I just...
craving for the samosas.
Me too. A mushroom samosa. I'd do anything for a samosa right now. And that was the thing. When you go to South Africa or, even Kenya, you go to what we call cafes. It's not like a Parisian cafe. It's not like a coffee shop, but it's a duka. You go in, you can get, it's like a little marketplace. And but in Grahamstown, when I was in boarding school, in the back room is where I used to play pool with all the military guys. And anyway, that's part of why I got grounded permanently. Whatever detention, but I would just walk out every day and have fun. I didn't do anything naughty, but I just made money. Now Nancy's looking at me. No, you placed bets on your pool playing. It wasn't anything bad, nothing illegal. That was it. And you had, cafes where like people still met there, but it's just different. And you could get hot food like a steak and kidney pie or corn
yes.
Yeah, you remember sausage rolls. That's the British part, though. That is.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us. Again, Jeff, as always, thank you for all these ideas of what we should do on food. He's taken us to Asia. He's taken us to Africa. We've had all kinds of good fun with Jeff. So everyone, I encourage you to go to his website. Again, it is spearrights.com. It is linked in the episode notes. And also for Judy, keep up with her and her forest bathing and nature, especially if you're in Arizona right now. Judy, you're doing a lot with that right now for
it's forest bathing season
in Scottsdale. So check that out at travelingnature.com. And then Elsa, you can go find Elsa van der Bijl, and that's BYL on Amazon, but also go right to her website, travelswithelsa.com. All the links are in the episode notes. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. It was fun.
Thank you so much. It was lovely. Ta-da.
Well, don't go anywhere. We have more guests and solo conversations right after this short message. Education is the path out of poverty, but sometimes the barrier is as simple as a pair of shoes or a school uniform. The Steps of Henry Foundation provides these essentials, plus full tuition for girls in Africa and Mexico. Support this work by purchasing the books of the late author, world traveler, and airline captain Henry Bernanke at theglobalhenry.org. 100% of your purchase goes directly to the kids. So in our group portion of Big Blend Radio's Taste of Africa show, we talked about Amarula. And yes, you must have it. It is wonderful if you like liqueurs. I know, we're doing this right after Christmas. Right now, we're actually in Kwanzaa time, but I think every day is a good day for Amarula. And Barbara Redding, who's a travel writer and photographer, is back on to talk about her Amarula experience. I don't know if we're going to get some good gossip on this. But Amarula's from, in the southern Africa, I should say. In South Africa, it's in everyone has a bottle of Amarula, especially for special occasions or the end of day, end of night, nightcap. We did a lot of nightcaps there when I think about it. So welcome back, Barbara. How are you?
Thank you, Lisa. I'm happy to be back and love talking about Amarula. My first experience was on a trip to South Africa that included safaris in Botswana and in Zimbabwe. And I had read all about the gin and tonic sundowner experience, but no one told me about Amarula until I got there. And I think it was when we were staying in one of the lodges as part of our safari, we would do the sundowner, which included the gin and tonic. And then as when we went back to the lodge for dinner, it was an after dinner drink and the after dinner liqueur. And it was so tasty that I have to keep a bottle in my liquor cabinet in Austin to satisfy that taste.
Yeah, I tell people it's kind of like Bailey's, but it's not. It's kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It is a different taste, but you can get it in this country, which is great.
Yes, you can. And I love, they have different brands, but the one with the elephant on is my
That's
favorite.
the true one. It's the true blue. That's the elephant one. And they get drunk on Amarula berries.
Yes, there is. Yeah, it's the Amarula tree, and it's also known as the elephant tree because elephants love the berries. And so I think that's kind of how the elephant has come to symbolize the liqueur.
Man, you are taking me back, and I haven't had some for a while, but I'm thirsty for it. I'm a little thirsty for it, so I think I'm going to have to go to a liquor store between all these recordings on Africa and South African wine. Did you try South African wine while you were there?
Oh, yes, I mean I loved South African wine as well, and I still. South African wines are in my, kind of repertoire of different wines that I have a eclectic taste in wine. So it's often, Texas has good wine, California, of course, but I love kind of revisiting the wine of places where I have visited. So South African wine, Portugal wine, Spanish wine, Argentinian wine.
Barbara likes wine. She's a friend.
Right. Well, I don't drink it all at once, just so we're clear on that.
It's an experience. And South Africa has some of the most incredible, even if you don't drink wine, go to the wineries because the family history, the stories, the architecture of these Dutch wineries, right? It's amazing. The food of South Africa. And I'm so glad you went to South Africa. I know you've been to Morocco too. So you had Moroccan food,
Egypt too. Yeah. I really liked, I don't know. I think if you haven't been to Africa, you're not sure what to expect, but I found it very flavorful and, and kind of unique in its own way, a little maybe heavier than some other cuisines, but I love the spices and, vegetables. And I think what we found in the safari camps where we stayed is that a lot of the fruits and vegetables were grown right there. So I felt like we were eating very fresh food.
Egypt, the Egyptian food, is it very similar to Moroccan?
Yes, I think, kind of that Middle Eastern hummus, good fresh fruits and salads. You kind of have to watch your salad in Egypt more so than Morocco. But yeah, there are definitely some similarities in the spices and in the flavors of the two foods. And I think both what I found in Morocco, at least the bigger cities, which is also true of Cairo, is that you can you can get a pretty wide variety of cuisine. So even if you are dying for a hamburger or Italian food, you can usually find those things as well. And I think that after dinner drinks, I don't recall tasting Amarula in in Egypt or Morocco. And again, both Muslim countries, so are not, there's not as much alcohol served, but you can usually find good wine as well as liqueurs if you're interested in doing so.
Yeah, I mean, because some of the ancient vines even come from that region, like Jordan. Well, that's kind of more Middle Eastern. I get myself all twirled around about what era, when, and how, and who's next to who. So that's a
Well,
good
that's
reason.
when I was in Morocco. I mean, we went to one of an old Roman village, and they had vineyards there. Wherever the Romans went, there was wine. So parts of northern Africa, including Morocco, wine was part of life.
Wow, fun. Right?
Hmm.
This is fun. Travel is fun. It gives you a good taste and you get to learn people and their culture through food. It's a bonding thing. So I love that. Everyone, you can keep up with Barbara at barbararedding.com. She's also on Instagram. You can follow her adventures there as always. The links are in the episode notes. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Happy New Year to you coming up.
Thank you. Yes, very soon. Well, thank you, Lisa. It was so fun to talk about Amarula and the food and wines of Africa.
All right, so we're talking about African food on Big Blend Radio's Taste of Africa show. And in the first segment, our group show, we talked a lot about South Africa and talking about how to find African ingredients, the spices and things like that. But then what about the produce? And I was talking about that on the show. Like South Africa has some of the best produce I've ever had. And I think knowing Melissa's produce over the years, we've got Robert Schuler back on the show here. I've gone, okay, I feel better because, South Africa is just, the produce is incredible. And I think this country gets the top part of that produce. They get the A grade, whereas when we were living there, it's like, no, it's all going overseas because we make more money that way. But I was excited to find that Melissa's, if you go to melissas.com, you can find South African fruit. And so, Robert, this is exciting for us. We can get a taste of home.
Yes,
For
thank
all
you
of
for
us who've
having
been
me
there.
on. There's actually two fruits that Melissa's Produce has been known for importing in from South Africa. The first one is the baby South African pineapples. These are pineapples about the size of your fist. And I like to refer to them as single serving pineapples. They're so sweet, you don't even have to core them. Once you grab hold of one of the pineapples, all you have to do is cut off the skin and you can enjoy it like a lollipop. These are available year round. You can buy them as a case on melissas.com if you don't find them in the store near you. And also, one other exciting seasonal item that we bring in from South Africa are these lychees. They are known for their lychees. And during the months of December and January, we bring in these lychees. The lychees are really well known in Asia. They're one of my favorite fruits. You peel them, and inside is a white translucent flesh. It has a black seed on the inside, and they are just, you like to refer to as like a premium grape. They're just so delicious, but they have so much flavor and juiciness to them like no other fruit. And lychees has always been a fruit that Melissa's is known for because they're not available year round. We're able to sort them from other places around the world, including South Africa, but only for 2 months in January. December and January are the only 2 months we bring them in from South Africa.
And so this is available in grocery stores?
Yes, in your local produce department, just ask for Melissa's lychees and you'll hopefully find them at your local store. But you can always go to melissas.com if you can't find them there.
And if they don't have them in the store, well, you can say, hey, you need to talk to Robert at Melissa's. Just tell them about Melissa's and go to melissas.com. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you.
So travel writer and author Linda Ballou had a good time in Botswana, and she went down the Zambezi River. She went to Victoria Falls, the Okavango Delta. But on this Taste of Africa show, we've been talking about all the different foods and ingredients. But I wanted to ask you about a Taste of Africa in regards to experiences. Do you have any favorite experiences?
You just reminded me of the fact that I had crocodile salad in Victoria Falls. I had crocodile salad. It was very good. It tasted not, I would say like chicken, but it was more like lobster. It was good. It was really good. And then I loved the sundowners, and we'd go out in the safari truck, and they'd set up a table, and they'd have cheese and crackers and wine and, little delightful tidbits for us for happy hour and watch the sunset. And the sunsets in Africa are absolutely glorious. I mean, it's just overwhelming. It's so beautiful. They're so brilliant and orange and,
Yeah.
So that was wonderful. And I was also, because of our parting experience there, was a dinner cruise on the Zambezi, which was at sunset, of course, and delightful. It was, our swan song to Africa, and it was a lovely, meal, full dinner.
Yeah.
Boat, open air, so that you're experiencing the river.
Did you see any hippos?
Not at that point. I saw hippos over in Zambia on the river that we spent the day on there. That was we fished on that river and caught local fish and had a fish dinner there.
Well, see, the more I talk to you, the more I'm finding out
the more you
about...
talk to me, the more I remember about what I ate in Africa. I mean, I usually talk about the animals, but the fact is that it was a dining experience as well. It was wonderful.
Oh, I'm so glad you got to go there. Everyone, you can keep up with Linda and her adventures. Go get her books at lindaballouauthor.com. Also, go to lostangeladventures.com for her travel guide series and travel stories. And also tune in for Lost Angel Travel Adventures, a podcast we do with her every third Wednesday. Thanks so much, Linda.
Thank you, Lisa.
So in continuing our Taste of Africa show today, we have author James Michael Dorsey. He is a world traveler, author, writer, photographer, and he knows everything about whales, right? Is that right, James?
Everything. Absolutely.
You didn't eat them, though, right?
I have never had blubber, and I never will.
Okay, so there it is.
I'm not a cannibal.
Okay. That's a good one. It's a good way to start off. So how many countries do you think, where have you been in Africa over all your 60 country adventures?
I've been to 9 African countries. I've been to Africa 7 times, and I've returned to some countries a few times in those trips. I have visited 9 countries.
Okay, so are you going to go back, do you think?
I would love to, except most of the places that I have been, I cannot go now because it's under the control of Al-Qaeda, and also parts of it are under control of the Wagner Group, the Russian mercenaries. So, like one of my favorite places on earth was Timbuktu, and I cannot go back there now.
Yeah. You really put it in perspective, bam, about what is going on in that continent, which I call the motherland. I really do.
It is.
It is. Okay, I'm not alone.
Mankind came out of Africa. I don't doubt that.
Well, they talk about that in the Rift Valley, that we came out of the Rift Valley, humans.
Yes. And I've been to the Leakeys base there, and I've gone deep into the bush. In fact, the hunter-gatherers I have visited in western Tanzania, they're not far from where Lucy was discovered, the first major hominid that we discovered.
Wow. Well, the Leakeys were our neighbors in Kenya at one point, Richard Leakey. And they were our neighbors. We lived in Karen, which is part of what Karen Blixen's land, her plantation was. And his dog got our dog pregnant. That's what we know about the Leakeys over there. No, but they did amazing work, the Leakey family. But now
absolutely.
What was Karen back then, which was really farmland and a few expats, now I think it's very rich and ritzy now. I think it's really gone from farmland to big, rich houses, from what I can tell. I'm not sure, but maybe we have to go back. So, but yeah.
You can blame out of Africa for that.
Yeah. Well, that was pretty cool, that story. But And Karen Blixen, she was a feisty lady, man. She's got some, stories to tell there, and she did. But so, a taste of Africa. What are some notable things you've eaten or sipped on in the motherland that you want to tell us about?
Well, I've had a lot of homemade beer in remote villages. Most of it's made from barley and it's quite bitter, but it's very potent. But surprisingly, one thing that I found everywhere, particularly in like the middle of the Sahara Desert, is you can always get spaghetti. The nomads, they will go into town like once a year and buy tomato sauce and dry pasta, and they'll live on spaghetti for weeks at a time.
Oh, wow. This is something I would never think of. Yeah.
I know, I know. I spent a lot of time in the Sahara with the Blue Men, the Tuareg Imasigan, as they call themselves. Those guys live on spaghetti and tea.
Yeah, tea's a big deal. Is it the mid-Moroccan style tea?
Okay, well, mostly it was Chinese when I was there. China was trying to buy up most of Mali at the time. I go to such remote places I can't afford to get sick. There's no Aerovac. So I tend to carry a lot of power bars and a lot of trail mix with me. But one thing I've eaten a lot of in Africa is goat. There's always rice and goat. And gosh,
the goat, when we first got to Kenya and my mom went to work with Joy Adamson, and she took me to where I was going to live and everything with this tribe. And I cannot for the life of me tell you which one it was it was the beginning. And they had goats, and she was like, look how cute. And we were both, saying hi to the goat. They went, oh, you like the goat? And we're like, oh, yeah, look, very American and naive is the main word there. And there went the goat. And they honored us by serving the goat. And you will eat it at that point, and you will smile and say thank you. And my experience is to never let it get cold. Eat that goat hot.
Yeah. One time I was with a rather remote tribe. These were Maasai, and they killed the goat for me, but they insisted that I drink some of the blood.
Yes, my mom said that.
They slit its throat. So I knelt right down there and I took in some blood coming right out of its neck, and then they roasted it for dinner. Other than that, I have eaten baboon, which was really tough and stringy and tasteless. But I was with some hunter-gatherers at the time, the Hadzabe people, and that was their primary diet, was baboons.
And you've got a book about it, Baboon for Lunch.
Yeah, and I told the whole story how they used me as bait to kill the baboon. So even though it came close to killing me, I ended up eating it.
Did you know they were using you as bait, or did you
Not at the moment, no. I was trying to follow them to document a hunt, but they were moving so quickly I couldn't keep up with them. They would pop out of the bush every now and then and give me a hand signal. So I knew they were directing me where to go, the direction they were hunting in, and I was just following along. And at one point, everything got very quiet, and this enraged baboon broke cover right in front of me. Before I had time to even be afraid, it had 2 arrows in it. And then I realized there was one of these Hadza on either side of me with another arrow knocked in their bow, ready to fire again. So it took me a few seconds to realize they had set me up. They had used me as bait to draw this baboon that was hiding in this thicket. And then they knew it would attack me if I got close enough to it. So they did that. So I was furious at first because they set me up and I could have died. But after a few seconds, I realized these guys just gave me the greatest travel story I'll ever have. So,
yeah, really.
I will get mileage out of that till the day I die. So that's the good part that came out of it.
Yeah, baboons are wild, man. I remember whenever you drive through and there's a bunch of baboons, you roll your windows up. I mean, I think it's the only predator a leopard has is a baboon.
Yes. Yeah.
And man, we had one, I can't remember where we were staying. It was up in the mountains, though, I think in Kenya somewhere. And we had this little, it wasn't even a rondavel. It was like a little chalet or cabin or whatever you want to call it in this country. And we couldn't get out the front door because we had this massive baboon. And so eventually my mom just went, I'm going to throw a pan of water on its head and see what happens. Don't do that. Don't do that. But we couldn't get out. This baboon decided I'm waiting because he knew we had food inside,
Yeah. But I'll tell you one thing, they are the greatest water finders on earth. You can follow a pack of baboons if you're in the middle of nowhere and you're dying of thirst, and they will stop at some point and they will dig and there will be water there. They know how to find water. They can smell it. They know how to get it. Yeah.
That's pretty epic to know about, huh? They're intelligent and they are kind as well. They are actually social sweet animals, but don't.
Well, they have a
Yeah,
family unit, so
yeah.
they just don't care much for us.
No, not at all. Or leopards.
So that's probably the worst thing I've eaten in Africa. I didn't care for it at all. I had to chew before I could swallow anything.
Yeah, and you got to do it too. You can't ignore. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, and I've eaten a lot of bugs, a lot of insects. Sometimes if you don't eat, you offend your host. They may be offering you a bunch of maggots for dinner because that's what they eat, and if you don't eat it, you're insulting them.
It's a delicacy to them, and they're oftentimes giving you their delicacies,
That's right. And
like the
it's
goats
protein.
too.
Most
Yeah,
insects are protein, so there's nothing wrong with them. Asia, there are whole restaurants in Asia that serve nothing but bugs.
and scorpions.
Yeah, yeah.
You
And they
see,
make whiskey out of snake venom. So it's very common stuff.
right? I don't know about that, but I don't know. Maybe if you get bitten, you'll be fine. I don't know. That's the
I
one
don't know,
thing
but
is.
you can buy, they call it Cobra whiskey. In fact, I even spent an afternoon with a moonshiner helping him stuff scorpions and snakes into bottles that he filled with his own moonshine. And I have a whole story about that.
Oh
Because
wow!
anywhere in Southeast Asia, you can buy Cobra whiskey, is what they call it.
Now, when you go back to Mexico this March to go do all your whale adventures, are you going to have tequila with the worm in it? Do they still do that?
They still do that, yeah. We'll probably have some, sure.
Yeah, why not? When in Mexico, one must do that. So there you go. Well, thank you so much, James, for joining us again. Everyone go to jamesmichaeldorsey.com and read more about his books and go get baboon for lunch. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So as we talk about the taste of Africa, we cannot miss out having travel writer Debbie Stone, who I love to call the fire monkey on our shows, join us. She has a podcast with us every fourth Tuesday, and she talks about her adventures around the world and across the country. And recently, she just came back from Morocco. And in the episode notes, you'll see the link to our digital Global Adventures magazine with her, which is a podcast magazine that features her articles and podcasts. And the first issue has the cover was all about her adventures in Morocco. And now I think this month is Catania, Italy, but you'll see both articles there. But we thought, hey, we're talking about Africa. Let's talk about Morocco and what she ate and drank there. So welcome back, Debbie. How are you?
Good. And yes, I'm going to get myself very hungry talking about the the food because it's really such tasty food and such, it's wonderful. And they really prepare it with, they take their time to prepare it. I like to say they make it with love because I really do believe they really take their time. They use, real good ingredients, fresh ingredients, and, you can watch them make the food. And it's just, it really is I think it's a labor of love for the people who make the food. I really do.
Well, when you were in Morocco, you had so many experiences. You went with a wonderful tour company, Wilderness Travel, and went all over. I mean, to the actual cities and then also out glamping in the desert, in the Sahara Desert. So in the desert, let's go there. What was food like in the desert while you were glamping? Because you had this wonderful tent under the stars. Yes, you did ride a camel. But what was the food like out there?
Well, the food was pretty much similar to much of the food that we had throughout the trip. There were these wonderful tagines, which is the tagine is a dish. It's a conical earthenware pot that they cook in, and they simmer the food in there, the meats and different vegetables, all these different wonderful, that we like. Chicken tagine you can have different meats in there. We had brochettes and we had these wonderful pastillas, which are we had chicken ones. And so it's like shredded chicken, and they put almonds and ginger and cinnamon, and they wrap them up in phyllo dough. And it was really delicious. And then there was always, very interesting salads with cooked vegetables. There's baked breads, which are delicious, and a lot of, wonderful desserts like flan. I don't know, is it flan or flan? I can never remember. And sticky sweets. And of course, there's the tea. They call it Moroccan whiskey. but it is really a traditional country's national drink. And there, preparing it and serving it is just as important as the act of drinking it.
So the tea too. I mean, do they drink that at specific times, or is it just
all day
daily?
long? All day long. All day long. It really, as I was told, it really symbolizes hospitality. It symbolizes friendship. And so whenever you go to somebody's home, or you're checking into a hotel, or you're going into a guest house or anything, even when you go sometimes into shops, you will be served tea, and it's very customary for that host to serve it to you. It's made typically with the green tea and mint leaves and sugar, and it's poured way up high from a pie, and it creates like a layer of foam, like a frothy top on the tea, and that's very important. And it's quite a ritual, and it's wonderful to watch, and it's very soothing and very calming, and despite the fact that it also has caffeine in it, obviously. But it's just, I don't know, I found it wonderful, and I really got hooked on. I mean, I'm a tea drinker anyway. I don't drink coffee, and I do love green tea, but this was the wonderful with the mint. It was just really nice, and just the whole process, instead of, for me, instead of sticking a mug of hot water in the microwave and adding my tea bag or something, this is just so much nicer. Much nicer.
And that's teaching us to slow down with our food. And I think that's something we learn as we travel, is to slow down in our food. And how we consume it. And the tea, the whole, and I think this is so interesting about tea around the world, is it's a ritual, right? You've been to Japan, isn't it? There.
And China, same thing. It's a ritual, and it's very important to people. England too. Yeah, they have tea time, and it's like, it's there in England. There seems to be like a really certain time that people have their tea at certain times. In Morocco, they have it literally all day long. Everywhere they go, they have their cup of tea. They stop at a roadside place, have their tea. They, it's just tea, and they said that they drink copious cups of tea. And the food, just, I love the presentation of the food, where they lift up the top of the tangine, the earthenware pat, and they take it off, and there it is, and they're just, they're so happy to have created it, and they of course hope you enjoy it, and they want, they watch that you are having pleasure with the food that they've made. And it's just, it's a wonderful culinary experience, I think,
as well as going into the markets. I think that's also the one from your article. And everyone, again, the link is in the episode notes to Debbie's article and podcast about her whole experience. And it's all in a digital magazine, Global Adventures. But you went to the market, and I'm seeing these, I mean, even how they had the spices. There's one photo where they're in these cones, and I'm like, wow, like, how do they even perfect that? We don't even take the time. It's like, here's your bottle of spice, off you go.
Right. I really think, like in many countries, Japan too, but the aesthetics of food is just as important. And so how something looks and appears is very important. And it makes you appreciate what you're buying or looking at even more so when somebody has taken the time and the effort to present it in such an incredible, colorful, or sensory manner. The spices are always done that way. It's beautiful, the way these mounds, these conical mounds. Also the figs, the way they display them, the almonds, and just everything looks, and the fruit, everything looks so appealing. And you want to go over there, and you want to look at it, and then you want to buy it, and you want to eat it. And, so that's all a part of the approach of making food just look really, really good,
It's an art. It's an art. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Debbie. Always good to have you on the podcast. And everyone, again, links are in the episode notes. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, and Be Merry show. Keep up with our podcasts at bigblendradio.com and our magazines at bigblendmagazines.com.